right, what's going on? This is the Retro Film Podcast. I am Giuseppe.
I'm Neil D.
And today we're going with my pick, another 1982 teen comedy, the cult comedy classic, The Last American Virgin. Now, this is one of those movies that I just ended up seeing because my buddy wanted to play it for me after a night out of drinking, says, hey, let's order some food. You got to watch this movie. I was like, dude, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not gonna stay up for a movie. You kidding me? He's like, well, try to get through like the first like 5-10 minutes. Got through the first 5-10 minutes, got through the whole movie, could not keep my eyes off of it. And I loved this movie. The next day I ordered it on Blu-ray because it's not playing anywhere like digitally. Can't find it on like Prime, can't find it on any of the streaming services, nothing. Unless you're lucky enough to own the Blu-ray or the DVD and you were able to upload it to your digital services. No, like this is one that you have to buy, and I would definitely recommend buying it. But
I have the DVD.
Yeah, me too. I have the Blu-ray.
Original.
Yeah, I have two different versions of the Blu-ray. Like I bought one the next day, and they came out with like another like updated version. Came with like a little 8x10 poster of it, and one of those like reversible covers and a the record sleeve, not the record sleeve, the slip cover and all that stuff, and totally worth it. I mean, it wasn't even that expensive. It was like maybe $13 for each.
I got the first issue Golden Globus regular DVD with nothing special. I think
right.
It's got a couple main features on it.
Exactly. And it's like, dude, even if it was a bootleg version, I would definitely recommend buying this, although I'm not condoning bootlegging, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, this movie slipped through the cracks. It got overshadowed by a lot of the other teen films, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, this movie came out in 1982, which was the same year that Fast Times at Ridgemont High came out. And you and I have numerous times compared these two movies, and now we get to talk about it. This is kind of a tough one to get into because it's such a unique movie. It's rough. So you got three buddies. You got Gary, who is basically the main character. He's, not a bad looking guy, just very awkward, no self-esteem really, kind of has like that 80s greaser look to him, but he's a little doofy, but he's a sweet guy. He's a good kid, does his best to be the good guy. Then you got Rick, who is a ladies' man, the good looking guy of the bunch, the one who can basically get any girl that he wants at any time. All he's got to do is just like give the look, And you got David, true blue friend, chubby dude, hilarious, but has the self-esteem that you would expect somebody like Gary to have because like he's a big dude, but he knows how to carry himself. He knows how to talk and takes down any bit of money that he lends out to you in his little black book. So these three guys in high school do exactly what you would expect three guys in high school to do in a 1980s teen comedy, try to get laid. Every aspect of this movie are these three dudes trying to get laid. That's exactly what they do, and they try really hard. I mean, like, just from the opening scene, you got Gary, the first thing you see him doing is delivering pizzas, Big Pink Pizza, or whatever it was called, the pink pizza, that was it. And, driving around this silly station wagon with, the pizza man on top of it, and then at night, meets his buddies at the burger joint, hanging out, see a couple of girls. They send David over. This big dude just sweet talking these girls into coming over and talking with them. They come over talking to them. You got one beautiful brunette, a really cute blonde, and a nerdy chubby girl. So you kind of get an idea of who's going to end up with who, but you can't think of it that way because things throughout this whole movie don't go the way you think they're going to go to. So they get these girls back, Millie, the chubby one, she's like, do you guys have drugs? They're like, yeah, we got drugs. We got uppers, we got downers, we got, and they're like, well, what about Coke? He's like, yeah, we got Coke. So they get into the car and they drive to Gary's house because his parents are out and start dancing, start eating chips, start drinking. And it's like, okay, where's the Coke? Where's the Coke? And what do they do? Yo, what are we going to do? They're like, oh yeah, we got it. We go to the kitchen.
Sweet and low.
They get sweet and low. They put sweet and low and they chop it up on a mirror. They bring out like a cut up McDonald's straw and they're snorting it. And like Millie, the chubby girl, she's like snorting like 3 lines. Do you guys? Oh wow, this is really good stuff. And it's just so funny because it's like the whole you could it's obvious that these girls have never done coke before, so they don't know what good stuff is. They don't know that it's sweet and low, and it was just like really funny. So then Rick picks up Roxanne, the brunette, starts dancing with her. They're tonguing whatever, and you know David's trying to get the blonde girl Brenda to dance with him and do stuff with him. So here's Gary left with Millie, the chubby girl, eating chips. They all go their own way. Rick's doing it with Roxanne, the skinny brunette girl, and David's trying to get with the blonde girl. She's like, okay, listen, how about you go out into the patio? I know I'm giving the whole scene. I just can't help it. This whole scene is opening scene. It's hilarious. Go out on the patio, count to 100, and then come back in. Now, while David's out there counting in his boxers, outside in his boxers on the patio of outside of Gary's parents' bedroom, Gary's in the living room while Millie's chewing her chips, crunching away. He's trying to get her bra off. And he's like, you want some crispy chips? And he's just doing his damnedest to get this bra off of this girl. And what happens? Gary's parents come in, girls come running out naked. Mother almost has a heart attack, has to go lay down in bed while Gary, Rick, and the 2 girls run out, and the 3 girls run out. And where's David? David's still on the patio, half naked, counting to 100. Mom needs to go lie down in her bed. Dad needs to go get him some aspirin and to take to ease this shock she just had of seeing girls run out of her bedroom area topless. So, unbeknownst to David, he gets into the bed, puts his arms around Gary's mother and grabs her chest. She screams, smacks him. He runs out. Of course, David has to run out in his boxers, jumps in the car, and they drive away. Now, this is the opening scene. This is just, I know it seems crazy to just have to explain all that, but that just gives you an idea of
Sets it up.
what the rest of this movie is going to be like.
Well, I mean, it sets up the pecking order. I mean, you have, like I said, 3 guys trying to get laid, basically. Uh, that's what the film basically the first and second act. Now, let me just throw out a disclaimer here. When we get into this, it's going to seem like I don't like this film, but I do. It's an important film, and I'll explain that later. It's also a very unique teen film. The first 2 acts, like you said, play out like typical teen romp. It's just the escapades of 3 boys trying to get laid, horny, hormones raging in high school. Uh, they go on a bunch of adventures, as we see. It's funny as shit. There's a lot of funny moments like that. The girls sniffing the sweet and low. Um, Fantastic soundtrack. Every song fits with the scene. Nudity, fun times, right? They're going out there. And this stuff can happen, and especially in the '80s. And you didn't really see kids like this in the '90s, though. It was a very '80s aesthetic where they were going out to get laid, and the film didn't get promoted that much. It got overshadowed by a lot of the films from that time because of the idealistic and theme of those other films. They've made you feel good. Porky's and Private Resort and Hunk. All these movies were out about basically the same thing, and they were all pretty much the same. Last American Virgin was far different. The first and second act, like I said, typical teen film, and then by the third act, it gets really dark.
Yeah.
Now, Karen is the new girl in school, and she befriends Rose, and Rose is kind of nerdy, and Rose is got the hots for Gary, but Gary is completely head over heels over Karen upon first meeting. He falls deeply head over heels for her, and he thinks he can win her attention. Rick meets Karen, and Karen wants the good looking guy, best looking guy in high school. So they start dating. Gary creates a rift between Gary and Rick, Dave's just the life of the party. He's there to just humor, but he's also a really good friend to Gary, which we'll get on later. Rick could give two shits about Karen. We see he takes her to the football field, as they say in the movie, pops her cherry, right? Gary finds out and is fucking devastated.
So yeah, I mean, during this time in the 80s, you did see a lot of these like teen comedy movies, and a lot of the times it's guys like trying to get laid, trying to like see naked chicks and all that stuff. It's like when you compare it, like as you said, like you didn't see movies like this in the 90s. It's like you're right. Like in the 90s, you didn't see guys in the locker room looking through a peephole, checking out the girls getting showered in the next room, like Big Dick Victor. As we find out during this scene in the locker room, it's like you would never even think to have like an actual, a literal dick measuring contest, because the whole argument comes up with, because you got this nerd kid Victor, glasses, wears a retainer and all that stuff, really nerdy talking, and it's like, talking about dick size. And they're like, all right, let's see what we got. He's like, yeah, put your money where your mouth is. I guarantee you, I got, like, this nerd kid is like, yeah, I'm packing. So you just see a bunch of dudes in line standing in their underwear, and Gary and David are sitting on the end of this line waiting for dudes to pull their pants down so they can measure these guys' dicks. And as soon as Big Dick Victor comes up, didn't just come up with that name for no reason. All right, you got 9 inches. They're like, holy shit. 9 inches, 9.5. We're not including your balls, dude. Neither did I. It's mine. I know how big it is. I mean, this is just, it's wild. I mean, granted, I never did this in high school, nor would I ever. I'd call in sick that day. But that's just how wild this movie is, that, like, and it's just, it's just so hilarious that this skinny little nerdy kid is like, yo, all right, let's do it. And the dude's apparently packing. But at the same time, this dude gets shit on throughout the whole movie. They steal the dude's car. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's the nerd in the film.
Yeah, and it's like later on, you got Gary who, upon seeing Karen for the first time, falls in love with her new girl, like you said, new girl, fuck, just head over heels. Like it's like in like Sicilians would call it the thunderbolt, the way this kid just got just struck by this girl and her beauty and everything about her. And what happens? She ends up with his best friend Rick, unbeknownst to him, and he even, like, he did something to even get to even talk to her. He knew where she lived. He he took the air out of her tire of her moped, just so he could drive up her block. Like, he took the air out, backed up, waited for her to come out, and drove up to her and said, "Hey, what's going on? Oh, do you need help? Well, I could give you a ride. Where are you going? Roosevelt High. Oh, that's where I go. Cool, let's go." Tries like joking with her, like mispronouncing her name. What's your name? Karen. Sharon? No, Karen. Marion? Like he's trying to be cute. And she laughed, she giggled. So you think something's developing here. And in the next scene, Rick comes over. It's like, hey, you got to meet this girl that I'm seeing, and there he is, like making out with Karen. It's like, oh my God. She didn't waste any time. Neither did Rick. Rick was all about it.
He got friend zoned right in that car. You just knew it. The whole you want a nice big sausage. He just doesn't have it.
You want a big meatball
Unfortunately.
hero?
Yeah, he got friend zoned right in that car. But he didn't know.
Exactly. And it's like, you didn't know either. Like when I first saw it, I didn't know. I thought there was something developing there. It's like, oh, good for him. And then like again, the next scene, Karen and Rick are making out, they're dancing on the dance floor and all that stuff. Here comes Karen's friend Rose. Cute little blonde, with the little purple streak in her hair, with the glasses, braces, head over heels for Gary.
Nice body.
She was a cute girl. I mean, she like, I think about like myself in high school. And if there was a girl like that was into me, let me rephrase that. If there was a girl that was into me in high school, I'd probably be a little more interested. I'd probably be like, oh wow, cool, somebody likes me. Let's see what happens. You know, because The whole thing was like Rick and Karen thought it would be, Karen thought it would be a good idea. Rick and Karen thought it would be a good idea to double date with Gary and Rose. It's like, okay, Karen's not going anywhere without Rose. So it's like, listen, we got to keep Rose occupied so Rick can work his magic on Karen. And because Rose likes Gary so much, why not? But what happened? They didn't have a car. Gary's car was basically the delivery car that he worked with. So what do they do? Oh, here comes Big Dick Victor in his convertible. Just got painted, newly painted. All right, listen, we got three blondes. Victor, we got three blondes that are waiting for us. How about you go get us a bunch of Cokes? All right, just park the car. You just got it painted. Make sure you're good with it. All right, cool. Picks up Rose and Karen in in Victor's car in his convertible. And they drive. Where do you want to go? Hey, let's go to the point. Oh, I've never been to the point. Let's go to the point. The point. And they park right on the edge. And what do? Karen, Karen and Rick are in the back seat making out. Rose and Gary are in the front seat making out. Gary kicks the brake, kicks the emergency brake. Car's in the ocean. Game over for Big Dick Victor's car.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes like that. That's the fun part of the movie. These things can happen, and they do, and it's funny. It's hysterical. I mean, just it's high school adventures. And there's a bunch of them in there.
And it's like we talk about
It
how
just
Gary always kind of gets the shit under the stick because like he did have
Right.
opportunities. He had the opportunity with Rose. He had the opportunity with the older lady.
Stupid choices.
He had the
Too.
opportunity with the older lady that he brought a pizza to, Carmela, the the Spanish lady who ordered a pizza. Oh, you're so cute. Come in. Wants to like hang out with him. Whatever. He's like, I gotta go. What does he do? Picks up his buddies. Picks up Rick and David. Says, you got to meet this lady. Oh my God, you have no idea what happened. They all get invited in. Has some tequila. Starts dancing. She has to pick up Gary to get him to dance with her. Then she's got to pick up what did she call David? Her big burrito. My big burrito. Picks him up, starts dancing with him. Soon as she grabs Rick's hand, what does Rick do? Gets up, knows what to do, starts dancing, starts touching her all over, lifting her slip, and next thing you know, they're in her bedroom, watching through the keyhole as Rick's having his way with Miss Carmela. As soon as he's done, oh, you're next, Gary. No, you're next. You said no, Gary. You're next. You said you wanted second. No, you go in there. Come to me, my big burrito. He goes in there. All you see is this big ass pop bobbing up and down. And then, unfortunately, her husband comes back. The guy was overseas. His guy's little like sailor sack and
Right at Gary's turn. He just always got the shit end of the stick. And it's set up at the beginning. It's set up at the beginning to show that.
exactly. And you see him like struggling in the beginning to like take that girl's bra off. He's like doing anything and everything he can to do it. And
But he gets the chubby girl at the beginning, and that's
yeah,
just
that's
shows.
the one he's trying to take the bra off. And then like, with this Miss Carmela, the husband comes back, oh my honey, you're back, whatever. And then it's like you see the two kids there. You see Rick and Gary standing there with their clothes on. They put it on as quickly as they could. Oh, they were just here for a Spanish lesson. Guys, that's enough for today. And then what happens? David comes out of the bedroom. What a nympho. And Paco, her husband, just loses it, starts running after them. And of course, here comes David running out of the house in his boxers again. It just seems to be the theme for David, like running out of the house in his boxers. I mean, and that's another thing because, we mentioned earlier how David is like the true blue friend. When Gary got way too drunk at the party and he's trying to help him out, trying to help him out of the house, David falls in the pool, gets out, not even pissed off, not even angry. He's like, dude, you going to be all right to drive? You need me to drive
His
you?
his character got it. His character got it. And in that movie, he's the character that had the best disposition out of all three of them. He just didn't take anything seriously, just having fun. And he had fun no matter where he was. Didn't matter he was overweight. He had fun, always made it fun. And he had contagious charisma that just worked for him. But he also was a true friend to Gary, and you know,
Yeah, and because Rick basically could have taken care of himself. You know, But it's like you knew watching this movie that David knew that Gary needed help, that Gary needed that friend who was going to be there to basically have his back when he needed it, because he knew that Gary was a little slower on the uptake.
Sensitive
Yeah.
beyond belief.
And he didn't, he wasn't really getting it as well as Rick was getting it, as he was getting it, as David was getting it, like not understanding certain things. It's like, look, man, it's like, you need a ride home. You want me to drive you? You sure you're okay? You know, and then when it was like a little later on that Rick and Karen are planning on doing something, and Rick asks Gary for the keys to his grandmother's house, because Gary's grandmother passed away some years ago and they never sold the house. They just kept it. They got the keys. And that was always mentioned throughout the movie that, oh, let's go to Gary's grandmother's house. Gary, can we get the keys to your grandmother's house? And it's like, you find out that the reason being because she passed away, left them the keys, and, Gary uses it whenever he wants, basically. So they're at the burger joint. It's like, all right, man. Rick's like, Gary, you got the keys? You got your grandmother's keys? He's like, oh, what are you talking about? He's like, the keys to your grandmother's house. Oh no, man, I couldn't find them. And he's like, oh, come on, man. And, David's like, he's like, David, could we find? He's like, no, we looked all over for him. And it's like you kind of got that. David was really just getting Gary's back, and saying like, they didn't really look for the keys. That David was just taking Gary's back, saying like, hey, buddy, don't worry, I got you. I know you don't want these. I know you don't want one of your best friends having his way with the girl that you're like in love with. It's like, look, he's going to do it with her anyway, but why pour salt on the wounds and have it done in your grandmother's house? Now, the thing is, too, that I noticed throughout this whole movie, before anything, like Gary never even mentioned, I don't think you don't hear Gary actually mention to Rick that he has feelings for Karen. He mentions it to David. He's like, tell, like when he was drunk, when he brings him to his car, he's like, tell Karen I love her. Okay, yeah, no problem, buddy. I got you, man. I'll let her know. What do you say? I'll let her know that your love is spiritual or something like that, right? So,
Well, I mean, I don't think that Gary could knew he even given the topic, right? Gary knew Rick wasn't a friend, really, but he just went along with that he wanted to aspire to be Rick in a kind of a certain way because Rick was the ladies' man. But the confining friend was definitely David, and it was probably too awkward to say, he didn't want to confront Rick and say, Rick, I really love. I think he was in love with her basically as much as you could be in high school. I love Karen. I'm in love with her, or I really like Karen. Can you just give me this word? Can you? He knew Rick was never going to do that. Deep down, he knew that. So that's why he didn't do that. I think.
well, but that's the thing too, though. You also kind of find out the type of guy that Rick is, because during that scene when he's asking for like the keys to his grandmother's house, he's saying like, hey, well, me and David have been going to this lady down the block. It was a prostitute. You find out, and he's like, you mean you've been saying? Yeah, we went 9 times. He says we went to her 9 times. He's like, and you guys didn't tell me. You guys are supposed to be my friends. It's like, well, dude, where have you been? All you've been talking about is, and like Gary tries to flip it. He's like, all you talk about is Karen, Karen this, Karen that. It's like, dude, what about the boys? What about the boys, bro? You know what I mean? So he's like, look, we're going. You do what you want. And Rick's like, wait for me. And it's like, you just kind of, and he's like about to go out on a date with Karen, and he totally ditches her to go have sex with a prostitute. Now, this scene was like it was like as funny as it was disgusting, because the hooker herself, she was hilarious. It's like, all right, what's going on? What are we doing here? It's like, well, how much is it? $30. Oh, that's $10 each. No, $30 a piece. Are we gonna do this or what? She
Next.
They pay, yeah, they pay. They go to this dingy, disgusting, uh, abandoned like basement, and there's like, boxes everywhere, there's dirt everywhere, there's dust. Probably, this was the early 80s, so there's definitely asbestos somewhere in there. And Gary's first, she just takes off her panties like it's nothing. Like, okay, all right, you gonna do
Does
this
he
or what?
throw up too?
Yeah,
He
you gonna
throws
do
up.
this or what? And it's like, she's like playing with it. It's like, all right, there we go. And then it's like, he's done. Like as soon as he starts, he's done basically. But you could see the look of disgust on his face when he was done. Like he was disappointed in himself that this is how he lost his virginity. This is the first time you see Gary having sex, and you know that this is the first time that he's had sex, and he is so disgusted with himself because this is what he was brought to. And then when he's done, all right, fat ass, come over here, calling calling David over. It's like, what are you gonna do? Come on, fat ass, let's get this over with. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm sitting there laughing. And then, like, Gary walks away, walks over by Rick, and just vomits. Because he's sick, he's disgusted. And this isn't where, it's like he wanted to get laid, but that this isn't the way he wanted to do it. He wanted the experience, obviously, because if he did get with any other girl, he'll have a better idea of what he's doing. But this isn't how he wanted to do it. And what happens the next day? Bro, my balls are on fire. Dude, they're all itching in class, like they're taking a test. It's like, dude, are you itching too, man? It's like, all right, the three of you get out, because they were talking during the test. They had they're like, all right, I know what to do. They go to the pool because they think that if they drown, the crabs, it'll kill them. Well, I thought crabs like the water. So then they have to go to the pharmacy, and it was so hard for them to just explain what was going on. It's like, yeah, you have medicine for ticks? Yeah, what kind of dog you got? All right, maybe it's more like lice. Okay, I got this comb. It's down there. And the pharmacist just starts laughing at them. He laughs and they're, oh, you got crabs. All right, take this 3 times a day and those will be gone in no time. And then the next thing you know, there's another party, as always. Like, these kids are always at a party. And it's like, hey, where's Rick and Karen? It's like, oh, I don't know. I think they're over there dancing. And of course, Big Dick Victor has to fuck everything up. Hey, did you see Rick and Karen? Yeah, Rick took Karen to the football field. So what does Gary do? Like, poor Gary thinks that he's going to do something like stop Rick and Karen from doing it by driving to the football field and trying to find them. Like, what's he going to do? Put his hand in front of it? No, they do it, and he finds out. Gary knows what they're doing, and he's alone at the burger shop. Rick finds him there, and he just kind of gives him shit. Karen's like, what's the matter? Oh, nothing. He just walks away. So this is where things take the turn for the worse, though. This is where we find out, we see Karen and Rick arguing in the school library. Rick's like, get the hell away from me. No, we're done. Get out of here. No, I don't want to talk about it. Just get away. Gary sees this happen, runs out after her. I'm pregnant. And she's in tears. And he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of you. You just kind of like, what do you mean you'll take care of her? Like, that's your first thought. Because, like, again, we often compare this movie to Fast Times. It's like when Mike finds out that what's her name is pregnant. He's like, you sure it was me? You sure? Oh, we got to get an abortion. Yeah, don't worry. I made an appointment. But with this, it's like, don't worry, I'll take care of you. And then he goes in and starts an argument with Rick, starts fighting with him, ready to fight. Like, they were about to throw fists until they got pulled apart. And that was it, Basically the end of their friendship over a girl. But that's the stuff that happens in high school. I mean, that's the stuff that happens in life. I mean, look, I've had situations where, like, I was into a girl and my buddy ended up going out with her and we would fight. Like, we didn't, like, physically, be brought to fists. You try to still stay friends, because it's like, it's okay, but it's not. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you don't realize that it's not your choice. It's hers. If she's into you, she'll be with you. If she's not, she's not. So what does Gary do? He's like, all right, listen, he takes her to an abortion clinic. And this is where you see, like, the almost like a darker side of it, because again, in like a movie like Fast Times, it's like in and out. You know what I mean? That's all they show you, is her going in and then her coming out. In this, they show her, like, it's like, well, this is going to cost you $250 cash. Okay, no problem. Okay, come back in 4 hours and she'll be ready for you. Dude goes home, goes through his mother's, like, wallet, takes out money, takes his record player, takes his stereo system, brings it to the pawn shop and sells it. And still has to borrow $100 from his boss to pay for this. And he pays, but you see her stripping down, crying the whole time. And finally and it's like, now what? Gary picks her up, brings her to his grandmother's house. They skip, like they were supposed to go on like a ski trip, but Gary brings his skis with him to make it look like he's going on the trip. Instead, he's at his grandmother's house taking care of Karen this whole time. You just kind of like see him watching her, while she's laying down, her shirt's lifted. He pulls it down, puts the covers over her. He's treating her nice, and they almost seem like a married couple for a little while. It's like, hey, you ready? Your eggs are ready. You're hungry, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And it's just like, oh, this is so cute. And they finally kiss. Gary's trying to get some like information out of Karen, like doing the whole like, oh, you sorry you didn't go on the ski trip? A little bit. Do you miss anybody? Like in hopes that she like thinking that she might be like, well, I kind of miss Rick, Like he's like, well, do you miss anybody? No, not really. And then, they have their little moment, they kiss. He tells her he's in love with her, and you're just thinking like, oh wow, this is it. They're good. But one of the issues is here, Neil, she says to him, I really appreciate everything you've done for me. You're a really good friend. And they kissed. But that's it. That's all you see. But like, you don't like, she does reciprocate it. She does kiss him back. But like, you don't see in her eyes what you see in his after they kiss. She's kind of touched by it. She's kind of moved by it. But like, I feel like that kiss was kind of out of pity. Like there wasn't like a real feeling behind it when she kisses him like there was for him. It was visible. Like you could see that like he was more into it than she was. And I know it's the acting, but like it portrayed it perfectly. And you don't really realize it until after the fact. You know what I mean? Like, we know the ending. We know what happens because we've seen this movie. But like when you watch it again and you see that kiss, you can totally see that she wasn't as into it as he was. And that's where like that good acting comes in because it's like, oh, wow, I see it now. Because like I didn't expect it the first time. Now I know what happens. I could see that she's really not that into it. So she tells him about her birthday party. Oh, am I invited? Oh, that's a silly question. So she has her birthday party. He goes out and he like gets her a golden heart inscribed with to Karen with love, I think it was. And gets to the party in his pink station wagon with the big pizza man on top. Hey David, where's Karen? Oh, I think she's in the back or something. And he sees her making out with some dude. And then the dude turns around and it's Rick. And you just see his heart crush, like his heart explode, like just everything that was inside of him for this woman just die because this is not what he was expecting. One of his best friends, Rick, the guy who told her to get away from him after she told him she was pregnant with his baby, still making out with him. She's still into him. And she just kind of gives him this look like, hey, yeah, I know. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like she just gives this like cute little smile, like it's going to change anything. Like, oh, okay, well, thanks for the smile. But he walked out of there crushed, drives away, crying. And dude, this, again, one of the most crushing, heartbreaking, heart exploding, just gut punching, gut wrenching, just terrible, terrible feeling endings to any movie that I have ever seen, ever. When you look at it, though, you look at kids in high school, right from you can easily say as an adult, well, Gary should have just backed off. Gary should have just known better. Gary's best friend was with this girl, so he should have just backed off. Not saying that he can't still love her, but it's like, dude, she's not into you. She's into him. Why are you even bothering? Because like as an adult, it's like, this stuff does happen though. But when the older you get, the easier it is to like brush off because it's like you might be into a girl. You tell your buddy, hey, I think this girl's cute or whatever. Next thing you know, it's like They're sending you pictures of each other, and you're just like, oh, okay. And you're past the point where it's like, dude, I told you I liked her. What do you? It's like, dude, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything about it. But in this case, if Gary even did anything about it, Gary kissed her. She still wasn't into him. So it's like, who's at fault here, though? Is Gary at fault for like keep pursuing it? Is Karen at fault for possibly leading him on and making him think that they had a chance? I mean, she showed from the beginning that she was into Rick, that she was dancing with Rick, she was kissing Rick, just because Rick told her to get away from him, you know, while trying to tell him that she's pregnant, you know. And here's Gary, who basically made Rick get off scot free, and he still got the girl, not Gary.
Yeah, I mean, look, the film's focal point, and you see it very evident here, is that nice guys finish last. And I know it's an old cliche to say, but it is the ultimate slogan for that saying, this film. I think no other film depicts that better than this particular third act. I think it serves as a warning about harsh realities more than any other teen film. And I've always said that they should show this to every boy in high school rather than Princess Bride, because Princess Bride is fucking fantasy. And this is what happens in real life. I mean, this is as real as it gets. Um, Now there's an argument Gary should have saw through this and realized by now, and you know, got over it. It's gonna take time, but for one, that's hard to do. And two, I think it's a deflection when people throw this argument out there. It's a deflection pointing it back to Gary to smooth over Karen's behavior. Now, I could have this argument all day, Giuseppe. Karen knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing, and it was almost premeditated, and she knew she could get away with it. She preyed off of his emotions. And to me, I think it's an unredeemable character, but that's just my opinion. Rick's no better. Probably the best character in this whole film was Dave. Overall,
Oh, agreed.
you know,
Totally.
if you think about a lot of the characters were despicable. Gary was a simp sap, and Karen was just a soulless girl. Like, you take a dinner from a guy, okay, it's cute. I could overlook a girl. I bought in girls that you buy a girl stuffed animal for, but Karen took it to a whole new level in the third act. It's very hard.
Yeah, I mean, and I do agree. I do agree to an extent. Now listen, now hear me out. Hear me out. I'm not trying to redeem Karen's character at all. It's just there are other ways that this could have been dealt with somebody in her position. Because here we are, it's the night of the party, and you know, Gary's all excited because he got her this like pretty little golden heart, had it inscribed, you know, to Karen with love. He was so excited. Karen with a K, like he was,
Ridiculous.
yeah, and he
Yep.
was so excited. But that's the thing though. When you first see this movie, you're excited for him because it's like, wow, he's, good for him, man. He's got the girl, he's going to give her, like, show her how much he loves her. He gets to the party. Hey, where's Karen? Oh, I think she's out back, in the kitchen or something. Goes into the kitchen, and there he sees her making out with some dude. The dude that told her to get lost when she was trying to explain to him that she was
Well,
pregnant.
here's the thing. Gary walks into the party, and again, going back to the point of Dave being a great friend, is that he asked Dave where they are, and Dave says, "Oh, I don't know." And Vic was the one that blew the bag again and said, "Oh, they're in the kitchen, Dave." And Dave says, "Shut up, Vic." Didn't want him to go in there. Remember? So he goes in anyways. and there's the ball drop. There's the kiss of death. Like she's hugging Rick, and Rick turns around and's like, "Sorry, buddy. I mean," hey, and she gives that little sinister, disgusting smile, like, "Hey, I'm just a girl. What do what? Hey, sorry. It's not like a $50 dinner here. It's like you paid for my abortion. You bought me this gold chain, and the guy that knocked me up and treated me like a piece of shit and told me to get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna hug in his arms again because he's the hunk of the high school. It's just like, come on. It's like I said, they should show this to every. It is just, it's a reality. It's a cynical film. It's not idealistic in any way, and the uniqueness, it comes off as a teen romp the first two acts, and then this third act is just drops a hammer on your dick. I mean, it is brutal. He's driving away with tears coming down his face with that Quincy Jones song that played throughout the whole film. Just once. And it's just like,
Yeah, that was like Karen's song. Like whenever she was like on screen, like they would play that song, and it's like, you know,
he doesn't get the girl. But here's the problem: is that Gary could not face the fact. He knew deep down, but he could not face the fact that he was never going to win her emotions the way he wanted to. And she preyed on that. That's the whole point of the movie. That's what the director was trying to portray. Is that he was so blinded he could not see past the fact that she only saw him as a friend, and that's where he fucked up, and it crushed his heart.
right, because she actually said it to him, like, thank you for everything. You've been a really good friend. And this is where he proclaims his love for her. And he goes in for a kiss. And it's reciprocated, but you can really, it's like after watching it again, watching it the first time, you think it's sincere. But when you watch it again and you know what happens at the end, you can tell that she wasn't as into it as he was. That was kind of like a thank you kiss. You know what I mean? Like,
Brutal.
thank you
It
for
was a
everything.
kiss off. Yeah.
Right.
It
Exactly.
was a thank you. Now fuck you. Thank
Right.
you, but I'm gonna go with the shiny boy.
And that's the thing. Like, that would be like my mentality in that situation would be, okay, look, I helped you out. I did what I did from the bottom of my heart with all the care that I have in my soul. I did what I did because I wanted to help you and because I'm in love with you.
But here's the problem: she did not care,
Right.
and
But the
he
thing
could not
that's
make her.
Right, but the thing that makes it more heartbreaking was that she went back with the asshole who put her in that position in the
Right.
first place.
That's what I mean. It's the
So,
harsh reality.
right, but see, my position on that would be if it were anybody else, I probably wouldn't have been as heartbroken. Now, as an adult,
Right. Of
as
course.
a kid, yeah, it would have been heartbreaking to see her with any guy after all of that. You know, far be it from me to be the type of guy to be like, well, what did I do for you? It's like you owe me. No, it's not like you owe me anything, but you should give some kind of an explanation. If I went in to kiss you or whatever and you weren't into it, you should have told me. You shouldn't have kissed me back. I get it.
But
You
that's the
but
that's
she
the
was in a jam, like you said, she was in a jam, and Gary just stepped up and did it. Who's not going to be
doesn't
like,
make it right though that she was
no,
in a
no,
jam.
no?
The, the
And I'm not saying that she was right to, to let him do it,
it's
but
called accountability, and I know they're in high school,
in
and
high school, who are you going to ask for
I
two
get it.
hundred and $50?
No, I mean I get it. I get it. She had to get out of it. You know what I mean, but the movie's true to life. This is what happens. I mean, there is a bright shining light at the end of the tunnel though here. There is. Because Karen is going to go with Rick or someone like him for the rest of her life probably. And that guy's going to constantly cheat on her and she's just going to keep getting fucked over by these guys countless times. And that's the like pleasure that Gary's gonna get from that. Seeing that she's probably gonna get knocked up by a bunch of these douchebag guys. It's just gonna be a continuing pattern.
I mean, that could very well happen. You learn from it, you live from it. And me personally, I don't take something that a woman did to me. to go through the rest of my life expecting that from every woman. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, well, this woman did this to me, so now I got to be mean to this girl just to get her attention. It's like, no, I'm still going to be the same guy I am. I know the whole nice guys finish last thing, but it's like, that's why I'm last. You know what I mean? And it's like, I get it, but it's like, I'm not going to like diminish the.
Well, I mean, we're not crying here like bitches about. I mean, yeah, but it's just that's what the film was. That was the director's intention. That's just my from viewing this film. You may have gotten a different um aspect of the film or what the director was trying to portray in it, but I think it was a cautionary tale. The way that the film played out, the that this is what happens. The guys that show desperate that pine, when Rick had that disposition of I could give two fucks, and that's what attracts, especially at that high school level. That's what you see. They don't like nice guy, like the opening the door, that stuff. That's fantasy. That's not reality. You know what I mean? And this film threw that into your face like a fucking brick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is an important, very harsh lesson to, keep your guard up. You don't have to be a dick to people, but you got to make sure that you know what you're getting. You're not going to always know what you're getting yourself into, obviously. You're not going to
Right.
know.
But those kind of guys like Gary that are very emotional and feel they're they're in a girl's mind at that age, not necessarily a grown up woman, but it comes off as you're weak, just like Ratner. You're weak, and that's not appealing.
That's fair. That's fair. But, you know, some people mistake the kindness for weakness. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
Of
like
course.
you're gonna get the sweetheart guy, but if somebody were to like put you in harm's way, they'll step in front of the harm. But it's up to the woman to give the guy the chance for her to find that out. And that's the thing. Some guys just some guys are just going to be who they are. They're going to be nice. They're going to be good, and
Right.
they're going
No, I'm not
to.
coming off as like you should be an asshole and you shouldn't be not. No, no. I'm just saying as far as this film, if you watch this film, that's what the focal point final conclusion is that this this kid was not appealing to her and was forever going to be a friend and he couldn't realize that, and the alpha male got the girl. It's a cynical film, cynical ending versus idealistic. Whereas all those other films, like, you know, the end of Pretty in Pink, Ducky gets the cute blonde, right? He doesn't get Molly Ringwald, which is supposed to happen that way, but the cute blonde sees him and sees his uniqueness and likes him. That's a John Hughes film. That's idealistic. That really hardly rarely happens, but it's an idealistic world that John Hughes portrays to make teen films fun to watch. This particular director, I think his last name is Davidson, wanted to show did the anti-Hughes film. He wanted to show what really happens. That harsh reality.
Well, I mean, this was also 1982. This was still also pre-Hughes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but there was films where the guys got the girls though.
Oh, there's always going to be films where guys get the girls. I mean, even around that time. But that's the thing, though. It's like, however harsh they had to give this lesson, however harsh they had to make the ending of this movie for people to watch, however heartbreaking they had to do it. They just have to let people know that it's not all peaches and cream. It's not all rainbows and sunshine. Life doesn't always end happily. It's like, not every, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Not every story ends
But
happily.
in a John Hughes film, it does.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, of course. You think of like 16 Candles. It's like everybody forgot her birthday. Then you find out at the end that the father remembered. Oh, that's so sweet. That's so great. That's so
But she also got Jake Ryan. See the idealism.
exactly. So in this, you got the guy that's in love with the girl, the new girl, the pretty girl, and he thought he had a chance. Now, again, you can put the blame on Gary, for pursuing her when she was with his best friend, one of his best friends, but you can also put the blame on Karen because it's like,
Right.
hey,
But
look,
here's the problem,
it's like, hey,
Giuseppe.
look, here's a guy who's willing to get me out of the jam that I'm in. Let me go for it.
Did she love Rick? Why did she like Rick? Here's where I'm going to show you the point of this film. Is in an analytical aspect is why did she like Rick? She didn't really love Rick because he was a great guy. She liked it because he was the popular guy in the hunk of the high school. That's the reality of life. The popular girls like the popular guys. This film shows what really happens in the real world, Giuseppe, where John Hughes films, it doesn't. It's an idealism. It's great to watch and it feels good, but it's not true to life. And I love John Hughes, God rest his soul, but it's not true to life. This film is true to life.
Well, and that's the thing too, though. It's like, you got the popular guy, but whenever, and it's like it happens in like every, you know, uh, teen, high school teen movie where it's like it's the new girl and she's automatically popular. She automatically gets the hunk. It's like even in like Can't Hardly Wait. Amanda was the brand new girl in school. She gets with the football player, the football captain. You know, it's like when it's the guy who's the new guy, it's never really that same story because it's like the new guy is always like a nerd in his last school, comes to this school, tries to change his whole persona, becomes cool that way, and then the story comes out that he was a nerd.
But again, here's my point. I'm impounding again. It goes back to this film. Whereas you mentioned Can't Hardly Wait, the sensitive poet writer poetry guy, she ends up falling for him. That's idealism, Giuseppe. It's not real. This is what more happens so in high school than I Can't Hardly Wait, which was modeled after John Hughes film. You know what I mean? Can it happen? Yeah, it can happen. The romantic, poetic guy could win the shallow hot girl over, but why? But it's like it's a mirror. She mirrors herself from Rick. They're the same type of people. That's why they're very, very shallow, very materialistic. Gary was on a different kind of plane, and great friend to her, but she could never see him as a romantic. And this is what I mean by cynical versus idealism. She could never see him as a partner, sexual partner, because he didn't have the traits that she looks for in a 16-year-old girl's mind, which is the cool, muscular, popular. That's programmed into their minds. That it's not made up. The quiet guys, did they get the girls in high school? No. The alpha male did. And that's what this film shows, and more than any other teen film. And that's why it's so unique. You see
True.
my point?
Yes, absolutely. But I also feel like some of that fault falls on Gary because he created this relationship that wasn't even happening.
Of course, I'm
He,
not putting all the
he
blame on kid.
yeah, yeah, no,
Like
of
he
course.
was an idiot. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was a love-strucken idiot.
And dude, like, it's like
Fine.
we think it's very noble of the guy to step up and be like, "Hey, listen, I'll help you out. Don't worry about it. I got it."
Fucker.
Yeah.
I
Well, you
cringed.
find, but that's the thing though. You don't realize that until afterwards. You don't realize that until you see Karen with Rick at the
No, I knew she wasn't gonna
honestly. Well,
be
that's the
with him
thing.
after that.
Again, in
Absolutely.
hindsight, yes. Rewatching it, yes. First time watching it, didn't catch it. Didn't realize that the kid.
Really. As an adult, I did. When
Well,
I was
that's
a
the
kid,
thing.
when I first saw it, no, I didn't know any better. I
Well,
was a
that's the
little
thing
kid.
because, like, as an adult, like I said, it was late at night. I'm watching this movie, and it's like, oh, this guy's actually getting the girl. It's actually working out for him. Being the noble guy is doing something good for him. He's paying for the girl's
He
abortion.
did a good deed, but
Yeah, he did a good deed, but
it
it's like on first
for
view,
somebody who appreciates it, no.
right? But that's what
That's
I'm
the
saying,
the
though. It's like
tragedy of
at
it.
first viewing when they first kiss, Gary and Karen, it looks like it's reciprocated, but on rewatching it, like I said, I bought the movie the next day and rewatched it, and you can see it. You can see that she wasn't feeling it the way he was. You could see that even though it was on the lips, you could see that he was passionate about it, and she was just like, "Hey, thank you."
Well, she had the little bit of she felt bad. Like she's not that much of a monster. Like I have to at least kiss him. It was a pity kiss because he fucking paid for my abortion and got me out of a GM. You know what I mean? Like
I think it was just as much of a pity as it was
obligation.
a thank you. Yeah, it was like she was just like, oh, okay, let's kiss. You know what I
But
mean?
then again, he did a good deed for a shitty person. That's the way I look.
And the problem was at the time he didn't realize that she was a shitty person. He didn't, of course not, because he
No,
just
he was
saw this view.
blinded.
And that's the problem. That's the problem that a lot of guys have. Like it doesn't even end in high school that you're really into a chick. You don't think that she's a certain way. And then when you find out she does, you still want to try to find the good in her. You still want to say, well, I know she did this, but if she were with me, it would be different.
All right, well, let me ask you this.
And that's the guy's problem.
Why didn't Karen? Now I understand she's 16. Mine's not fully developed, not a grown up yet, right? But you know right from wrong. Why couldn't she have pulled Gary aside? She knew that he pined over her and just said, "Listen, I love you dearly as a friend, even though that's questionable. But you're just not. You can't force chemistry, and I just don't have it with you." And that's what he couldn't. Just make him realize it. You know what I mean? She did not do that because she was benefiting from him.
True, but as you said, she's also a teenager and her mind isn't developed. So her mind didn't go there. She was just thinking, like, yeah, I'm going to benefit from this. I'm going to get out of this scot free. But again, she had to strip down all her clothes off and she's sitting there crying. And it's like, at what cost? Now, you kind of like, you think that something is going to develop from it because he's doing all these nice things. But again, she even said it to him. You've been a really good friend. Thank you so much for
But
helping.
that's the lesson you learn is no matter how much you do for a woman, if she doesn't like you, it's never you can't force a woman to like you. They either do or they don't. And you don't, obviously you don't fucking realize that when you're in high school. But I mean, it's a little heavy for high school. I mean, it touches on themes way beyond high school, obviously. But the mindset. But
Because it is a lesson that you learn in high school that you learn when you're younger, but the older you get, it doesn't mean that just because you're aware
you
of
have to
something like that
pay for
happening.
somebody, yeah,
Right, it doesn't mean
to
that just
love you,
because
to like.
if that happens to you in high school, you're aware of it, doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. You know what I mean? It can happen again. You could meet somebody, but like that's the thing though. If you're with friends, they meet you, they meet your friends. If they're more into your friend, even if you tell your friend that you like her, if he's got a chance with her, he's going to go for it. And you can't blame him for that.
Yeah, they're gonna like who they're gonna like. Absolutely.
You get over it. The older you get, the easier it is to get over, and you just move on.
You want the girl to pick the sensitive one. It's not reality. I mean, they're not gonna at that point.
Right, but the older you get, you meet these girls, and it's like you realize at that point, well, if she'd rather be with my friend, then she's not a girl I want to be with anyway. If she'd rather go with him, she knows what she's getting with him. He's know what he's getting knows what he's getting with her. I'm done. Peace.
Well, Gary had problems. Obviously, I mean, he had some problems. You could see unfold. I mean, he just
I mean, dude, that type of stuff that ends friendships, and it's sad because
yeah. But
I don't
Rick
want to
wasn't
say.
his friend.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, well, because like Rick, again, Rick was the ladies' man, and he was trying to like get Gary to get some, but he had to get his first. You know what I mean? Like Gary couldn't get some unless Rick got some. So if like there's three girls and it's Dave, Gary, and Rick, we'll go for the three girls. If it's one girl, Rick goes first. You know what I mean? You saw it with you saw it with the Spanish lady, Carmela. You saw it with the prostitute. It was like, yeah, Gary, you go first.
Right, but and that's the thing. Rick only thought about himself.
Yeah, Rick was a straight up scumbag. But it's like you don't realize that your friend is a scumbag until he scumbags you. You know, it's total.
Dave was his friend.
Yeah, Dave was the coolest guy. Dave, I would love to have Dave as my friend.
Best character in the movie,
Yeah,
hands
totally
down.
best character in the movie. Totally the type of guy like uh personally that you aspire to be. Like you want to be a good friend, you want to be able to help people out and you want a friend like him. It's like Gary threw him in the water and he still walked him to his car. still try to make sure that he was okay. You know, that's the type of guy. That's the type of guy that guys want as their friend, but it's also the type of guy that every guy should aspire to be.
Rick was a friend. What can you do for me, and I'll be your friend.
Exactly. Like when they were talking about how they went to this hooker, and he's like, oh, and you didn't tell me, and it's like he totally ditched Karen to go get crabs.
He's just the biggest scumbag. One of the biggest scumbag characters in film, definitely. And this is the biggest kick in the nuts ending in cinema. I'll argue that it with anybody. It
It's something that you didn't expect. Like you expected this to be the happy ending that every teen 80s movie was. And this was absolutely the opposite of it. The
but
number of movies put
that's what the
together.
audience. That's the 80. That's what that was. You know, positive, a message, ideally. This film threw all that out the window.
Exactly, man.
He
And
didn't
it's like
give a fuck about that stuff, you
and,
know.
and it's like you and I watch horror movies all the time, and we know stories about movies where people walked out of the theater because it was disgusting. I can't imagine how people walked out of this movie feeling, and it wasn't even a horror movie.
Jaw dropping. Just to reveal it's just
Dude, nobody could have expected that. It was like one of the most horrific scenes without being a horror movie.
absolutely the emotions, like just when he's driving on the feeling, his heart was just completely grinded in a grinder, stepped on, you know, pulled out of his chest. But do you think Dave would have did that to him? I don't think so.
Dave definitely wouldn't have done it to him because Dave was the one trying to protect him from finding out what Rick was doing with her.
Whereas Rick didn't care. He just
Rick
for
didn't care.
himself.
Rick was all out for himself. Absolutely. There was no denying that Rick just wanted to get his. And he did. When you first see him with Karen, he's like, I want you to meet the love of my life. This is Karen. It's like, no, well, actually, Gary cuts him off. Karen. Oh, you guys met? Yeah, we met this morning, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And that was that.
You just got to think about the screen test audience. Like I said, there was no film like this out
They had to have
at that time.
they had to have played that for a bunch of like dudes in their like mid 20s to early 30s, and they're like, yeah, keep that ending because guys need to know that this stuff happens, and it does. It happens.
Well, it's just a harsh film, but the balls of it, you got to respect. I mean, the balls of that
Oh, absolutely.
to
I
have
mean,
that ending is just insanity. Uh, in that kind of time, you know.
exactly. And it's like if you did want to compare it to like any kind of horror movie, it's like if everybody dies at the end. Like there's no final girl, there's no survivors, it's just everybody's dead. That's basically what this kind of like amounts to as far as the type of ending this was. What's his name? Lawrence Monason, the one who plays Gary. We know him. I mean, like he was in the final chapter. Like there,
Yeah,
like
Friday the 13th. Yeah.
yeah, dude. There was this funny like what do you call it? Like theory that that because of what happened in last the last American Virgin, that basically what Gary did was become Teddy in freaking the final chapter, and that's why he was like such a dick to like Crispin Glover's character, like doing the whole oh well this says you're a dead fuck, and he became like such an
People
ass.
got too much time on their
They
hands.
do.
I do like theories though.
Yeah,
Movie theories.
I mean it was like yeah,
A
I
lot of
just found that one to be funny. I just had to mention that because it's just it kind of makes sense in a way, because it's like Gary got screwed over and it's like it made him become like this
You
pothead.
know what I would like to think in 10 years later of The Last American Virgin, right? I would like to think Gary found himself a nice woman who cared about him, cared about his way of being, and Jen was genuine and he had kids and everything, the big house, right? Rick marries Karen, knocks her up with 5 fucking kids. She's a fat fucking slob now on the couch, just like Bill Hicks said in his fucking one of his bits, with pizza dripping down her face, with the kids screaming and him fucking the neighbors and everything that moves, and coming home and yelling at her to cook him up a chicken pot pie in a trailer park. And that way, Gary gets a satisfaction. That's what I like to think happens. to put it mildly. And Dave becomes a fucking mogul millionaire like he deserves. Find some dot company, you know, or is like a stand up comedian making millions laugh famous. You know,
I see him as
that's
like
what,
I see him as like a car salesman, like a used car salesman, but like a good used
but
car.
successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
successful, you know. But like I feel like Gary is the type of guy that would find out that that's what Karen's going through, that's what Karen and Rick's life is. I feel like he would still feel bad, but I feel like after that party, Gary gets with Rose. I feel like she sees how sad he is, knows what happened, thinks he's such a sweet guy for helping Karen out. And even though she knows that he was into her, she's still into him.
Gets rid of the glasses and the braces and smoking his
And
fucking.
they,
Got a
yeah,
nice.
and they hit it off. They might not get married, but I feel like they date for like 2 years.
She was a nice girl, bro.
Yeah,
That's what we should have went for, and that's the thing. That's what I mean by like
uh,
it.
they
Just what should happen doesn't happen.
right. I feel like they date through high school, and once college hits, they go their separate ways. And Gary, of
But you noticed,
right,
Rose was pining over Gary, but Gary took it to a psychotic level. That's what we could say clear here in this pocket. We want to make sure. I want to that I'm not just bashing Kieran. Like Gary took his love to a psychotic fucking level. That's unnormal. Like Rose was pining over Gary, but she didn't do, fucking pay off his car loan for him and whatever, like fucking, got him out of a gyms because she was, she let it go. She tried to get it on with him. She liked him. She saw he wasn't in, and let it go. It wasn't psychotic. Gary, that was fucking loony, psychotic.
well, I mean, dude, there
You
are
know,
other ways to show a pregnant woman that you're a nice guy rather than paying for her abortion. $250 that you do not have, having to borrow 100 from your boss. It's like how many pizzas are you going to have to deliver for free now?
but here's the thing, though, is that, like we said, he literally thought in his lunatic mind that if he did all this stuff, that would turn her around, which it's never going to, and make her feel a different way about him. That's where his mistake was.
Absolutely. Again, he was a young kid. Stupid idea, stupid thought. I mean, of course, what Karen and Rick did was stupid also. But I really, it's like you got to wonder, like, what made him think that, like, this was going to get him in good. I mean, up until the point where you see her making out with Rick at the end, you kind of like I kind of thought that they were that they like he did it. I mean, personally, it's kind of a tough sell. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I'm into this girl, but she's pregnant with my buddy's kid, and it's like she wants to get rid of it, and I'm gonna help her, and this is gonna change the course of our lives together.
But what do you do then? Like, and then this is the despicable part about Karen. Okay. Right. Is that she goes through all this. Karen was almost sociopathic, really. I mean, if you dive deep, because she goes through all this and then just goes on. Like it's like she's not even traumatized by it. She wants to get it on and have Rick fuck her on the counter in the party like nothing happened. Like she's just living like after she just had fucking clavicle metal things up her fucking vagina to kill a baby. And eh, okay. And this schmuck fucking paid for it. I'm gonna go back to my fucking douchebag cheating fucking boyfriend and hug him and kiss him at the party, and everything's great. That's sociopathic, dude. And leave him going off crying. It's really dark, dude. It's really disgusting.
It
Like,
really is because it's crazy because like, Gary and Karen were both supposed to go on a ski trip. You see David and you see Rick getting in this van ready to go.
without a
You know?
care. These people are fucking people over without a care.
Exactly. The camera's in the van and you see Rick making out with some other chick, some other woman, like some other girl. And you're just like, wow, dude, like your buddy is taking care of your mess. You know what I mean? Like what you would consider your mess. And this is what you're doing now. And then you still end up with that girl. Because I feel like anybody watching that could be like, what the hell is wrong with Karen?
Any girl would be traumatized from that and not want to face anybody or go out of her house. This girl's at her fuck a birthday party bash that she throws for herself and is kissing the fucking dude that fucked her over. I mean, think about that.
Right. And that's the thing, man. It's like you said, it's like when you're faced with like the abortion, like I said, again, going back to Fast Times, Stacy had to get an abortion. It's like, oh, I already made an appointment and they don't really go into it. You see her go in, she comes out and that's it.
But she felt horrible afterwards. That was the real reality of it. Like that's what a normal girl would feel. She wanted to stay in the house and not, you know what I mean?
Right. And then you get Karen and they show you a little more into how how it's not that easy. You know what I mean? Like the procedure, like, dealing with the payment, dealing with the doctor, like what you have to do, getting on the bed, being strapped down, all that stuff before doing it and like seeing the tears, you know, and then when she's out of it, maybe that's where you find
Throw a
out that
party for
she's
myself.
that may,
Invite everybody.
but that's the thing though. Maybe that's where you find out that she's psychotic. Because what does she do when she first wakes up after the abortion? Starts laughing. What is she laughing at?
Sociopathic, yeah.
Is she laughing because she's happy to see Gary? Is she laughing because she's happy it's over? Or is she laughing because it's like, haha, I got you. I got you. You did this for me. And guess what? I don't care. Who knows? But
Dude, but she didn't even get any. That's traumatic for a woman. You lost a baby. What is she? She throws a fucking party for herself.
right. And it was like
Like
that party.
nothing happened.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, while they did show a little more, they got a little darker with the whole procedure and everything, they still just like brushed it off like it was nothing. Like it was like, hey, let's party. And
Yeah,
you
I
know what?
killed my baby and used a guy to pay for it, and I mean, at my birthday party and kiss the douchebag that knocked me up. That's the ending of my Last American Virgin. That's the harsh reality. Crazy, right? I think it was a little over exaggerated. I don't think any girl that wasn't out of her fucking mind would respond like that to after having an abortion.
I don't know. You just watch it and you just whenever like people are just so nonchalant about big issues like that, it makes me cringe. I'm just looking at it like, what the hell's
It's not
wrong with you?
normal.
What's wrong with you? Like, oh, I made my appointment already. Oh, ha, 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 it's over. Like it's like you were just crying your eyes out 5 minutes ago. And there was no like at any point like, all right, listen, Gary, you don't have to do this. There was no, listen, I'm gonna pay you back.
Well, what's even worse, you tell me the logical or rational mentality of this guy knocks me up, tells me in the library in the school that he wants fucking nothing to do with me, treats me like a piece of shit, basically says, I don't want to see you anymore. You're done, you know, and then goes back with him. Is that rational?
Oh, absolutely not.
With the guy that knocked her? Right. So that's the point the director was trying to make of I hate this of a female mind. And I'm not trying to sound misogynistic here, but that I mean that happens.
Right, but you also got to like look at Rick in that scene too, because like that's the type of
No,
person
he was
he
just
was.
a douchebag.
Right, but instead
Yeah.
of saying, "Hey, I screwed up. Let's see what we can do to fix this." No,
That dude was
instead,
a
but instead,
American psych. He had no conscience.
exactly. But
He just cared
instead,
about himself.
instead of taking any kind of responsibility for it and just saying, "Hey, I screwed up." No accountability, but at the same time, when Gary approached him, basically told him, like, hey, dude, listen, I'm not the only one who got in there. You know what I mean? It was that defensive.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like,
I
it
mean,
was
yeah.
so dirty, so filthy the way he said it. And it's like, even if I wasn't into Karen, I feel like I would want to knock him out for saying something like that?
Every character was unredeeming in this movie except for Dave.
That's fair.
And
That's
Rose.
fair.
Even Rose, uh, you know, there's no good quality about any of these people. That's a sad thing about is like we always say you gotta like the characters in films. Um, that's what make this movie rough is that they're none of them are likable except for Dave and Rose. It's crazy.
Right. But I also feel like in not liking them, this is one of those situations where the actor uh, portrayed the character the way they were supposed to be portrayed, to where you walk away not liking them.
And you know what? Diane Franklin's such a sweetheart of a lady. Like it's hard to it's hard to separate. Like it's crazy that she played that kind of. Even she says it. I follow her. She's like, yeah, that character was fucking god awful.
I saw Better Off Dead before I saw this, like way before I saw this movie, and she was like the cute French foreign exchange student. She was one of the princesses in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, I mean, Better Off Dead was probably her biggest. Was you know, but she's done a lot of movies. I can't think of right now, but like these two were the big ones. I mean, but that character.
Well, coming to a close, I would say I definitely think that anybody and everybody who can get their hands on this movie should watch it. It's like, yeah, we gave away the ending, we spoiled the whole movie for everybody, but you know, even having seen the movie as many times as I have, that ending still hits. That ending still,
It's a hard watch.
it stabs you in the heart anytime you watch it. I would definitely recommend. Problem is, like I said, it's not on any streaming service, so you're probably gonna have to buy
It's a
it.
hard one to find.
It's definitely worth paying, whatever it costs. I mean, I don't know if it's still in production, so it might be like by third parties at this
Probably
point,
out of
but
print by now. Yeah, I
I
don't know.
I, I don't know, because like the one I got, I think I got
I
like,
see it in the
oh,
back there. What
yeah,
is
yeah,
that?
yeah. That's the Blu-ray, like the newer release. I think it came out, like, this release was in like,
Yeah, that's like the record one. I would love to have that one. I have the original where they're in the pool.
yeah, they made this, yeah, they made it look like a VHS thing, got to be 18 to rent, and it even came with a poster, like a 8 by 12 poster. And the funny thing is, like, I've had this for so long, because like I
That's
have.
like how my Hell Night came, and I laminated it. Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah. See, like, because like I bought another version of this, like, when I first saw it, and then when I saw that they made like another version of the Blu-ray, I bought it. I just opened this the other day to watch it again, because like I've been watching the other Blu-ray, because I think I put it in storage for now, but like when I open, and I've been like looking online to get a Last American Virgin poster. When I opened this up, I'm like, I was going crazy looking to get a poster, and I have one right here. And
Well, on a positive note, can we just talk about the fantastic soundtrack?
dude, the
What a
soundtrack, yeah,
amazing new wave soundtrack of
yeah,
all the type of music that was happening in that time period. They got all the bands. I mean, like Devo and
the Cars,
psychedelic first, the Cars. Yeah, all that stuff was playing Flock of Seagull in that whole movie, throughout that whole movie, and Journey, and Quincy
yeah,
Jones, and
had some good.
great soundtrack.
Yeah, had some good R&B in it too. I mean, it was still a good era for music at that point. And it was 1982, and there was already, like, a lot of that good new wave
Yeah,
rock.
MTV was on
Yeah,
a year already.
exactly. So again, as we wrap this up, definitely a recommendation of mine. There are a lot of things that,
At least see it once.
yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things in it that could drudge up some, like, deep rooted anger, something from from your past that you might, or maybe even something you're going through now. But it's like, this movie depicts it. This movie tells you that, like, yeah,
Just a hard ending. Even if you didn't go through something like that, it's just disgraceful behavior. You know, it is. It's just disgusting behavior from. And I understand they're in high school. I mean, to sum it up, like I said, for me, the film is a cynical and less idealistic than the other teen movies. The ending is a tragedy, definitely departing from the usual happy endings of like John Hughes type films. I mean, he doesn't get the girl, not even close. She doesn't care. Rick doesn't care. Rick's not a friend. And he just goes beyond buying her stuff and trying to win that affection, never could. And then he ends up driving off in a car alone from a party with tears coming down his face with Quincy Jones just once playing on the radio. It's just brutal.
Yeah, I all I could think of at the end when I first saw that movie was what the fuck. That's it. Like just three like when it ended, like I turned to my buddy, I'm
A
like,
kick in the
what?
nuts.
And my buddy's just like kind of staring me down, like just kind of looking at me like, yep. Like, yep. And it just, it makes you remember like if that happened, if that has happened, you'll remember. And, you'll also remember that you got through it. You know, you also remember how you got through it and that you can get through it.
And let's not over smut the exaggeration. I mean, how many guys do you know any guys that paid for a girl's abortion that their friend knocked them up? I mean, it's possible, but
I mean, I'm not
like,
going that far. I'm not saying that, oh, yeah, guys remember paying for a girl's
yeah,
abortion.
I
And
mean, it's a little exaggerated, but it knocks the point.
yeah, what I'm saying is more like being into a girl and her being into one of your friends and your friends being with her and you're not able to be with her because she's into him. The older you get, again, the older you get, the more you accept that
Doesn't matter. Don't care.
it's not your choice. It's not
It goes
just
to
because,
extremes,
yeah, it's
right?
not
If you're
just
dealing with high school minds and it's the end of the world, right? I get all that.
you realize that just because you like her doesn't mean she's going to like you.
You can't buy that affection, right? And it's the end of the world when you're in high school. Everything is so heightened, and I get it. I get it, but I'm still
Exactly. And it's like
can't
you
get
can't,
over.
and it's like you can't stop your buddy from possibly finding something fantastic. But there is that little bit of happiness that you get when she turns out to be crazy. And he's got to deal with that. So, it happens. So that's about it. That's as far as I think we can go. I mean,
Yeah, it's a dark one.
it's a
It's
dark one. It's a comedy and it's a drama. Like there's a lot of drama. So
not a typical teen film. I mean, like I said, it's a very unique. It has the first two acts that are a teenage sex romp, and then the ending is a dramatic tragedy.
and again, I do got to say, like, for anybody who actually might watch this, not the movie itself, but this this broadcast, this video, when you look at the box cover, it it's very misleading. It's very misleading.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like
Intentionally, I think.
you look at the back and you see the picture of Karen with Rick. You don't know what point in that movie that is.
Right.
We do. We've we've seen it, but that's it. It's like it's so it's got the synopsis. I mean, dude, I just love the way they did this. They made it look like an old video that you
Yeah, that is
have off
pretty
the shelf at
rad.
the video
Pretty
store.
awesome.
I love stuff
I
like
have the old one, like I said.
yeah. I mean, dude,
I mean,
I have this one. I have the one that, like I said, there was another one that came out earlier than that where it just has the title on the cover. It's like it just says the last American Virgin in lights
I
like
have the MG. I have the one where they're in the pool.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
All in
seen
the
that and
pool.
I've seen that poster, but it's like the cool thing about this, it's like, you see the case without it's got one of those like reverse covers. So like you could put this on the front, like you have, you know, interesting little thing. I mean, I would show you the disc, but the disc is still in my Blu-ray player, and right now inside of here is
But again, I mean, to end on a
not the
happy
last one.
note, right?
Yeah,
In closing, it does in the first two acts, it does a great job of showing that innocent, that time of high school where you're going out with your two buddies and you're going to the hot, you know, fast food place, the burger place or wherever it may be, or the diner where everybody hangs out in high school and you're just kind of hanging out. It has that great aesthetic, that great feeling in the beginnings. You know what I mean? Where you're not prepared. Then when you get further down, it changes drastically.
yeah.
But
It definitely doesn't give you. It definitely doesn't take you to where you think you're going. It takes a really, really hard detour. That being said, thank you so much for listening. We enjoyed. We did the best we could with this one, man.
yeah, I mean, it's a hard one. It's a
It is.
hard film.
It
It's
is.
a hard,
And I, it's
to.
like, but it's to me, it's just one of those movies, man. It really is just one of those movies that I feel
Oh, it's your
like
pick.
I know, but I also feel like it's like you said, you're talking about like high school kids need to see it, but like there are people our age who haven't even heard of it, you know? So it's like I feel like anybody
Wasn't
who,
highly promoted. No,
right, and I
it's
get
on
that,
TV all
but
the time, cable, but
that's the thing, man. That's where, believe
kind of a
it or not,
B cult classic. Yeah.
believe it or not, that's where like the internet helps because it's like this is where you find out that like you might have seen Last American Virgin back in 1982 or maybe even in like later.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I saw it.
Exactly.
Believe it or not.
I saw Last American Virgin, you know, probably like within
Yeah,
like
you found about it later, so which is great. I mean, yeah, they seep through. I mean, you there's a lot of movies like this, but I mean, people into film will know that, that grew up in my era will know this film. Like a lot of my podcast buddies, they know this film. They're like, oh, you're doing that, like Antonio. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Night Away.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like same thing with my buddy who I told like, you know, the one who showed me this video, my buddy John. He's like, you know, he's like, "Hey, you think you can do Last American Virgin?" I'm like, "Maybe." You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, when he saw the post about it, he was like, he liked it. He's excited for it because like this is one of his like my buddy John. He's all about the '80s, all about '80s movies, '80s
Yeah, if you're
music.
into the '80s, you're gonna know this
You
film
know what
for
I mean?
sure.
Like, yeah, exactly. He's only like 4 years younger than I am, and he's like, more into like the '80s than I think I am, dude. Like everything, all '80s. Like his wedding song was a Cyndi Lauper song. You know what I mean? Like that's how '80s he is. So like,
Yeah, I mean, it was a great decade. Yeah,
yeah, exactly, man.
music,
And
the
he played this,
movies.
dude. I played a movie for him once. I was like, dude, have you ever seen Bad Manners? He's like, no. Fell in love with the movie. That's a very, I feel like that's a very obscure one. If you've never seen that one or even heard of it, that one's like under the that one's like under the table, like under the counter type of a flick. But like, you know, it's just it was just such a special time for movies like this, and this kind of almost ruined it with its
It,
horrible ending, you know?
well, I mean, it was pre, but it it definitely was a black sheep in that golden that time period of in the early '80s. Those films were a dime a like those, like Porky's trilogy and I'm trying to think of like the Wildlife and all those kind of movies. Losing It, Valley Girl. You had all those movies where they were just fun, kind of. Valley Girl's like a teen romantic romp. That we'll get into. We're gonna do that movie definitely too. That was a time period of those kind of movies, and this one just came out of left field with that ending was just, you know, unheard of. It was a black sheep, like intentionally, I think, and it set it apart. And people know of the film. It's just not like a Fast Times, where everybody knows.
Yeah, and I don't think people were really ready for this one though. Because this was still very early in the '80s before all those like super like that big, push of you know, feel good teen classics, teen comedies, I should say. You know, like we said earlier, pre-Hughes, like this is like way far outside of anything that Hughes would
Well,
have.
Hughes
Again,
dominated because he
absolutely.
got teen
Hughes,
angst. He dominated the mid '80s era because he
yeah.
knew teen angst. He
And
was mid '80s.
yeah, and the great thing about Hughes was like it wasn't just it wasn't just the teen movies either. Like when you look at like Uncle Buck and Only
Right.
Buck,
No, he did other stuff, but I mean, I'm
exactly,
just
yeah.
saying, like,
As far as the teen movies go, absolutely. He totally dominated that in the '80s.
yeah, he got what it was to be a teen, but the thing was is that it was all sugar with him. There was like little teen, like, oh, I'm not liked, I'm not popular, but then, people realize I'm the real genuine, like that kind of aesthetic he had beyond, like, besides Ferris Bueller. But I mean, like, those are the essential themes where this one was just wasn't. It gave you like Gary's fucking getting the shit end of the stick, and that's how it is. That's where the difference is. There was always a happy or a lesson ending with the Hughes reign. It always works out. In Last American Virgin, it doesn't work out. And you're crushed at the end.
Exactly. And that again, it's a lesson that a lot of people need to learn. A lot of people need to understand that It's not
It
always
doesn't always work out.
exactly.
Most of the time, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
you just pick up and you keep going, you know, at some point.
that's why we needed the Hughes films, because life is fucking hard. It sucks,
Yeah.
and you could live vicariously in unreal, like fantasy through those movies where triumph happens.
All right. So let's wrap this up.
Watch it
Yeah. Watch the movie
once at least. It's a
again.
reality smack.
Exactly. You might have to buy it if you know somebody. I mean, like, it's not like
Even
that.
though we ruined the ending, you know what's going to happen, but
Exactly.
still watch it.
Exactly. But check it out. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening.
Thank you always for listening. We appreciate the viewership. Um, we'll be back with another one soon, where we'll go back to horror.
There we go. Thank you very much. Well, this concludes this episode of the Retro Film Podcast on The Last American Virgin. If you're interested in watching The Last American Virgin, you might have to purchase yourself a physical copy. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Retro Film Podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate all the support as much as we love watching these movies. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you come back for future episodes.